What is going on, everybody? I am Mike with Obviously Outdoorsmen. And if you guys clicked on this video, you guys know that you guys probably aren't the best at shed hunting. So today we are going to go over 3 reasons on why you guys are not finding that many shed antlers. But first, if you guys are new to Obviously Outdoorsmen, I would really appreciate if you guys would subscribe and follow us on all the social media platforms. If this is the first video you guys are ever watching from us, we put out constant daily tip and tactic videos, how-tos, just fishing and hunting content on the daily basis so you guys can be better hunters and better fishermen and just be all around better outdoorsmen. So again, if you guys are new, hit the subscribe button. Check out our podcast, Obviously Outdoorsmen, Spotify, Apple Podcast. The video version is also on YouTube. But if you guys are new, I would really just appreciate if you guys followed us and share this video with anyone you possibly can share it with if you think they need to hear what we are talking about. But back to this video. But number 1 is going to be you're walking right past the shed. Number 2, you're walking just aimlessly. And number 3, you're gonna have to stick around to the end of the video on the most important reason why you guys are not finding as many shed antlers as you can possibly be finding, or just any shed antlers at all. So to number 1, you're walking right past the sheds. So a lot of people, when they're just walking, that's all they're doing. They're just walking. They're not walking effectively, and they don't have a purpose, and they're not even registering the sheds that they walk right past. There's so many times where myself, I have found multiple sheds the day after when I just walked right through that the day before. I combed the piece of woods and I walked right past the sheds, and I walked back the next day just because I have a hunch that there's going to be sheds in there, and I find 3, 4, 5 sheds that I just walked, and for some reason I didn't see them the day before. All right, a lot of times people are just walking without a purpose, and they're not even registering what they're looking at. And what you have to do to change this is really just talk to yourself mentally, not in a crazy way, but talk to yourself. Say, all right, I'm looking for sheds. All right, there's going to be one right here. There's going to be one over here. There's somewhere in this area, there's going to be a shed antler. And you just have to keep focusing on looking for antler. All right, this is what you're looking for. You're not out there looking at the trails. You're not out there looking at the beds or the rubs. You're not walking and you see a group of deer, so you stop shed hunting and now you're looking at the deer and following the deer and see how many there are. You see a fox or a bird or just looking at the river. Your purpose, you're out there to shed hunt. So make sure your mind stays on task, and the only thing you're doing is looking for shed antlers. Yes, you can look up and look around the woods, but if you're looking up and around the woods, make sure you're scanning. Make sure you just stop every now and then and you're looking from your left all the way to your right, and just making sure you are maximizing your walks. Don't be wasting time out there. Don't just stop and just talk on the phone and just look up in the sky and just be like, oh, okay, it's such a nice day out here. You are out there to find sheds. Big sheds, any piece of bone. That's why you are out there. So just make sure your mind stays on task and just keep reminding yourself you're looking for sheds. I know a lot of times it can just be on and on and on and monotonous, that you're just out there and you feel like you're walking forever and miles and you haven't found the shed. But just keep your mind on task. Don't let it just wander, and just make sure you are just on point, laser focused, looking for sheds as long as you can possibly go out there and look for sheds. On to number 2, you're just walking aimlessly. And it kind of ties back into number 1, to where you're just walking aimlessly around the woods, to where you're not focused. And all of these tips kind of tie back into one another. So it could have just been like one main topic and then just a whole list of bullet points on why you're not finding sheds, but you're just walking right past them. There's so many times where I'm just walking, and yes, I'm looking and I'm laser focused, but it doesn't register that I'm looking at a shed. There's probably been 3 or 4 times where I'm walking in the woods with a buddy or by myself, and I'm walking and I'm looking just straight up on where I'm going, and I'm not looking straight down. And I've stepped on sheds before, and I've stepped on them to where I step here on the brow tine and the main beam just swings up and hits my ankle, and it felt like I just got hit in the ankle with a scooter, right? And I fall to the ground because it hurt so bad. And then I'm like, oh, look, a shed. At least I hurt myself for a good reason. There's been times where I step on them or I walk right past them, and a buddy that's right behind me, 2 steps behind me, goes, hey, Mike, you just walked past the shed. And I'm like, fabulous. Great, I'm not looking effectively. And then my mind automatically goes to, how many sheds have I really walked by? And when you think about it, you've probably walked by a good number of sheds. I'd probably say for every shed you find, you probably walk past at least 2 sheds. In my experience, you probably just walk past them. There's so many times where I'll walk in an area a year later and I find the sheds that I was looking for last year. And I'm like, well, I wish I found that last year. It was right there and I walked right past it. So you just have to make sure that you are actually looking and registering your mind that you're looking at a shed, and a lot of times you don't even see the full shed just laying there, right? Big sheds are easy to find. You just have to get there first. The smaller sheds that a lot of people find, they're not just standing out. A lot of times they're upside down, they're sticking up somewhere, they're hanging off a branch, they're in a river, they have one little tine sticking up. And this actually ties in to number 3. All right, you've been waiting for number 3. You're looking for the entire antler. All right, a lot of people go out there and they look for the entire antler. All antlers do not look alike. So what are you really looking for? Are you looking for the same antler that you have in your mind? Or what are you actually looking for? Because if you have, let's say, this antler in your mind, just this, big main beam, big everything, you're probably going to walk past a lot of sheds that are smaller than this just because you're looking for something big and you're missing all the little stuff. And what happens when this shed is not just sitting out there in the open and it's under some branches, under some leaves, under some snow, in a river, hanging up high because they hit a branch and now it's hanging in a bush like this, all right? There's a lot of times these sheds are not just laying there perfectly or they're blending in. So you're looking for the entire antler, and that's wrong. What you have to be doing is looking for parts of the antler. So you're looking for a G2, you're looking for a tine, you're looking for long white beams, you're looking for the circle base, just anything that's out of the ordinary. You're looking for straight lines. So all these straight lines like a picket fence, you're looking for that. So a lot of times when I'm out there, and I say this in a lot of my videos, I bring a shed with me. Maybe it's not the biggest shed I bring, maybe it's a smaller shed, and I take it with me in the woods. And when I get to the woods, I close my eyes, I'll throw the shed over my head, and I'll just turn around and open them and try and find it as quick as I possibly can. So just to get your eyes accustomed to where you are shed hunting. So a lot of times when you're just looking for a shed, you walk right past them because you're not looking for just little pieces. All right, I found a shed last year in the snow. There was like 8 inches of snow and the snow's been there a while. And I found the shed that was probably there before the snow. It was a fresh shed, but I'm walking and I walked this entire piece of woods and nothing. And I finally come out to where I just entered the piece of woods and I'm just walking super slow and I'm looking and I'm looking. And the only thing sticking out of the snow was the end of the main beam. I mean like an 1.5 inches, 2 inches of main beam sticking out of the snow. And it was a pretty big antler. It was a broken off 3-point side. It would have been a 3-point side, but it was a broken off piece, a pretty big shed. And I was walking slow. I was just looking for tips and tines and the base, the pedicle and brow tines and curvatures. I wasn't just looking for a giant shed. I was looking for pieces of the shed. Literally, like that much, like this kicker off this G2 here, that's what was sticking out of the snow. I'll put the picture on the screen here. But it's crazy how if you walk slow and you stay attentive and you walk with a purpose, then you're going to find a lot more sheds. And I'm just going to add in number 4 because I have to add this into every shed hunting video that I ever make. Walk slow. Walk slow. It's not a race competition. You're not running through the woods to cover as much land as you possibly can. It's going to be like you are just really searching. Again, I used this analogy last time I did a shed hunting video. Act like you have a wedding ring and it's worth 20 grand and you drop it in the leaves and you're sitting there just like kicking the leaves around looking for your wedding ring, right? If you take that approach to shed hunting, you are going to find a ton of sheds. Just walk slow. Every now and then, every like 30 steps, just stop, look behind you, because a lot of times when you're just walking, how the trees are set up, a shed could just be perfectly behind the tree, and because that tree's in front of it, let's say you're walking, right? And you're looking from left to right and left to right. And when you're looking left and there's a tree blocking a shed and you keep walking forward and then you start looking right, you're going to walk right past that shed because it wasn't in direct eyesight, obviously. So make sure every now and then you just stop and you just look around. You're walking slow. You're just meandering on through the woods, just looking for any piece of bone. So make sure you're not walking aimlessly. You walk with a purpose. Don't just take a gigantic piece of woods and just walk straight through it. Make sure you cut it into sections and then just zigzag through them sections. Grid search it if you have to. Bring like 10 people if you have to. If you're just trying to find one specific shed, bring 10 people. Just get that shed found. Make sure everyone's just walking slow and you're just cutting the giant piece of woods into different sections. And okay, we covered that section, we covered that section, we covered that section. And then if that whole piece of woods comes up empty, then look at the surrounding woods on like Google Maps. Look at satellite images. Say, okay, it's a little tiny strip of woods across the road, or 2 roads down, or a street down, a mile away. Check that piece the same way, and you're going to come across sheds eventually. You definitely will if you follow this approach. Walk slow, walk methodically, and trust me, your walks are going to turn into packing out a lot of sheds this 2022 shed season. So that is it, guys. I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope you take the 3 reasons why you aren't finding sheds and start implementing these tactics that I talked about. And I hope these are going to be the 3 reasons why you are finding sheds, that you're not walking aimlessly, that you're walking with a purpose, and you're looking for parts of the antler. That is it, guys. If you guys have learned something new, please smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out our podcast, our Instagram, our Facebook, our TikTok, and on and on and on. All our social medias, no matter where you are, we are there posting content, trying to teach you guys how to become better hunters and better fishermen. That is it, guys. I am Mike, obviously Outdoorsman. Check out our other videos, and at the end of this video, check out a recommended video and check out our most recent video. That is it. Peace. Have a great day. Woo!